The sheriff didn't even knock. He stepped out of his cruiser, adjusted his belt, and looked straight at me like he already knew how this was going to end. Behind him, 3 HOA board members stood stiffly near the fence line, arms crossed, smug expressions locked in place. And at the center of them all was her, Vanessa Hale, HOA president. Perfect posture, perfect smile, perfect confidence that she had just won. She pointed directly at me. That's him, officer. He's trespassing on HOA utility property and interfering with essential infrastructure. I leaned against a wooden post, calm as ever, watching the wind roll across 1,700 acres of land that had belonged to my family for generations. My land, I said quietly. The sheriff glanced between us. Vanessa scoffed. That's not what the documents say. I nodded slowly and reached into my truck. Good, I said, because I brought mine. I didn't plan on inheriting the ranch. My grandfather passed suddenly. No warning, no drawn-out goodbye. Just a quiet call one morning, and a lawyer reading a will that changed everything. 1,700 acres, rolling pasture, old oak lines, a river cutting through the east side, and a narrow ridge along the south that bordered a newly built gated community. The community didn't exist when my grandfather was alive. Back then, it was just empty land. But about 8 years ago, developers came in, built homes, added a clubhouse, paved roads, installed power lines, and somewhere along the way, they stopped checking where their land ended. I didn't move in right away. It took me a few months to settle things. But when I finally did, I noticed something strange. Utility poles, running straight across my southern ridge. At first, I thought it was a mistake on an old map, maybe a boundary overlap. So I did what any reasonable person would do. I ordered a survey. That's when things got interesting. The survey didn't just confirm my suspicions. It proved something much bigger. Every single one of those power poles, 9 in total, stood firmly on my land. Not on an easement, not on shared property. On my land. No recorded agreement. No signed access rights. No legal easement filed with the county. Nothing. Just poles and cables carrying electricity to an entire HOA community that had no idea their infrastructure wasn't legally theirs. I didn't rush. I didn't threaten. I sent a letter. Polite, professional, clear. Please provide documentation of recorded easement rights or remove infrastructure within 30 days. That was it. 3 days later, I got a response. Not from a lawyer, from Vanessa Hale herself. Typed in bold. Your claim is invalid. The HOA has full authority over all utility access in the community. Cease interference immediately. I read it twice, then smiled, because that's when I knew. She didn't understand what she was dealing with. I didn't respond right away. Instead, I started gathering everything. Old land deeds dating back 40 years. County records. Surveyor certifications. Utility permits. And the one thing that mattered most, the absence of any easement. I even went down to the county office myself. Sat with the clerk. Pulled every record tied to that development. Nothing. No agreement. No compensation. No permission. They built those lines assuming nobody would ever challenge it. And for years, they were right. But I wasn't in a rush to confront them. I wanted them to escalate first. And they did. 2 weeks later, I came home to a crew on my land. Trucks parked along the ridge. Workers adjusting lines. And Vanessa standing there like she owned the place. I walked up slowly. You're on private property, I said. She didn't even look at me at first, then finally turned, annoyed. We're performing authorized maintenance. Authorized by who? The HOA. I nodded. Show me the easement. She crossed her arms. We don't need to. That's when I pulled out my phone and made a call. 10 minutes later, the county inspector arrived, followed shortly by a deputy. Vanessa's confidence didn't crack at first. But then the inspector asked the one question she wasn't ready for. Can you provide documentation of your right to access this land? Silence. She tried to pivot, tried to assert authority, tried to talk over him. But the inspector didn't care about titles or attitudes. He cared about paperwork, and she didn't have any. The work crew was ordered to stop immediately, but Vanessa wasn't done. Not even close. That's when she changed tactics. If she couldn't win with authority, she'd try force. 3 days later, I got the notice. A formal complaint filed against me. Interference with essential utilities. Trespassing. Damages. They even tried to get an emergency injunction to stop me from restricting access. I showed up to court with a single binder, color-coded, indexed, every document verified. Vanessa showed up with confidence and assumptions. The judge didn't take long. He flipped through my documents, paused the survey, then looked at the HOA's filing. "Where's your recorded easement?" he asked. Vanessa tried to explain. Community necessity, implied access, long-term usage. The judge shook his head. "That's not how property law works." Then he looked at me. "Do you wish to revoke access to your land?" I didn't hesitate. "Yes." Vanessa's face finally changed. Just a little. Just enough. The ruling was immediate. The HOA had 60 days. Remove the lines or negotiate legal access. That's when Vanessa finally approached me. No audience. No authority. Just her. "What do you want?" she asked. I looked out across the ridge, then back at her. "A fair agreement," I said. She scoffed. "You're trying to extort us." I smiled slightly. "No, I'm giving you a choice." They brought in lawyers, engineers, cost estimates. Turns out, relocating those lines would cost them millions. So they came back, ready to negotiate. And this time, they listened. We signed an agreement. Permanent easement. Annual compensation, full liability coverage, and one more clause. Any violation, immediate revocation. Vanessa signed at last. Her hand wasn't as steady anymore. A month later, the sheriff came back. Same road, same fence line. But this time, he wasn't there to question me. He tipped his hat and smiled. And Vanessa, she didn't come back at all. Because the moment she realized those power lines crossed my land, she didn't just lose control. She lost everything she thought she owned. They thought they were running the neighborhood until they found out who actually owned the ground beneath it.